Hey FCS Fans Nation, it's your unbiased Bison admin, Matthew Frazee. No, I'm not soaking in my blues over the Frisco loss. I'm here before our Season 6 finale episode just to say thank you. Thank you so much this season for the love and support from each and every one of you for our Facebook page, Twitter page, the YouTube channel, and our podcast here. FCS Fans Nation Facebook page has grown to over 13,500 members. We're almost about 5,000 follows on Twitter. The YouTube network, which involves Jackrabbit Illustrated and Cocky Nation and Wax Sun and Fight on Montana and Keith Break with ETSU and all our side shows, has grown to over 1,500 subscribers. We're going to be able to bring you guys yearly content because of the support you guys have shown us. This is just a grassroots thing that we developed 6 years ago, and your guys' support every single week means the world to us. ESPN, ABC, the others, the big media outlets, they don't give the FCS the time they deserve. So we hope if your week was tough or if you had a rough day that maybe throughout the football season this podcast gives you a little bit of a break, puts a smile on your face, and you get that national content that you deserve for your FCS team and for the best division of college football. Thank you so much again. I truly, truly hope you enjoy our season finale episode and can't wait to continue to produce more great content for you guys. Enjoy the show. Boom.
I think South Dakota State is definitely going to make it to Frisco next year, and I have them heavy favorites to repeat.
Welcome to the official podcast of FCS Fans Nation with your hosts Kyler Neal, Matthew Frazee, and Jamie Williams.
FCS Fans Nation. No, it was not a herd of green and yellow across the plains of the Frisco field to the trophy stand. It was a fluffle. I Googled that term. It is a group of rabbits, a fluffle of rabbits across the turf, if you can call it that, in Frisco, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the FCS Fans Nation podcast. You are in a new era of the South Dakota State Jackrabbits as national champions. Welcome to our season finale episode of season 6 of the FCS Fans Nation podcast. Would have never in a million years thought I would say season finale in a podcast. And never would have thought I would say season 6. So holy moly, gents, we have made it. So we have some big news we're going to share before we kick into the Big 7 tonight in regards to our channel and things like that. We'll save our soapy, emotional shout outs for the end of the episode. Jamie, I'm going to give you the floor before we kick off some of our big news. Buffalo Bills, man, victorious today. You got to be feeling good. And are you fully recovered from Frisco?
Well, recovered from Frisco, I think my blood pressure's back down off of that annoying performance where they dominated but made enough mistakes to keep the Dolphins in it. But former JMU Duke, when he was an FCS player, Dean Marlowe, had an interception. So, solid start to the day.
I love how you just keep it in the FCS realms.
See what
That's
I did
beautiful.
there? Yeah.
That's beautiful. Kyler,
Torrin Johnson, Weber State had a nice game too.
Yes, he did. Kyler, no more bunny gear down there for you on the screen today.
No, that was just some good luck charm until the postseason was over, so the Bison couldn't win another one. Now both teams are dead to me. It doesn't matter. I'm not rooting for either one. You only root for one of the true evils over another true evil, right? Now they're both evil. Who cares? Let's go Samford. Let's go Furman. Let's go whoever.
Anybody else. Let's just keep the rotation of champions. Myself, I have not bailed on my glorious Bison. They're still in the background here if you're watching on YouTube. However, I am rocking Montana Grizz gear, old school shirt, awesome trucker style hat. This was sent to me, gentlemen, by Noah Brandamil. Noah is one of our great fans who follows us on Twitter, Facebook, Absolutely. Very interactive. I'm going to read his letter that he sent along with this gear. He deserves this shout out, and this will lead us right into some of our bigger news tonight. Merry Christmas, Matthew. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I got you some Montana gear because Kyler already has a tattoo and doesn't need any. And I don't think Jamie would wear it if his life depended on it. And if this is inaccurate, let me know and I will gladly send him some gear too. He says, keep up the good work. Your page and podcast has been so important to enriching the culture of FCS football. Have a fun and safe trip in Frisco. In classic Grizz form, I leave you with the Go Grizzlies. Next year's our year. Beware the bear. All the best, Noah Brandamil. Noah, thank you so much for the gear. Jamie, you might have to let him know your address so he can hook you up as well. We truly appreciate all the fans who've sent us stuff and kept things going. Before we roll into our amazing fan questions, guys, we just want to make one announcement. It's nothing mind-blowing. No, the podcast is not shutting down. Nothing's going crazy. We're not getting some big sponsor. No, we got to keep it going. The one small change you will notice is, first, just let me say, this podcast, I argued this, and I've said it before, I've said it a million times. I do not believe in the history of podcasts there is more of a grassroots podcast that existed than this one right here. Because you don't have to believe me when I say this, but trust me, when the Facebook page initially started for FCS Fans Nation, we had been messaging each other a lot. It was Kelsey, it was Kyler, it was myself, it was Lawrence, it was Wyatt, and we were just like, we need to find an opportunity to actually be able to vocally talk to each other instead of just text. So we said, why don't we just do a podcast? We'll do it for ourselves. And then if people listen, they listen. And lo and behold, we were passionate about something. And now we're here in season 6 and everything is huge. So that being said, the one change we're going to make is revolving around how we started this podcast, which is it's important for us to keep the friends and people that we love and interact with every day close to us. So with the FCS Fans Nation Network on YouTube only, you will see the YouTube channel change from FCS Fans Nation Network to Fans Nation Network. The reason this is occurring is so we can keep our good friends, Brandon Owens and Grant and others from Jacksonville State. They want to keep posting on the network on YouTube. We have Keith Brake and ETSU who want to do basketball stuff on the platform during the offseason. South Dakota State fans have talked about basketball stuff. You do not have to watch this. The FCS Fans Nation podcast is not going anywhere. Just know when you subscribe to the YouTube, like 1,500 of you have, that you will see Fans Nation Network instead of the FCS in the front. But your glorious FCS Fans Nation podcast you're listening to now will continue on. So that is the small little announcement of a little bit of rebrand to keep the friends around. Jamie's excited about it. I'm excited about it. Kyler is not. Nope. Cut him out. He wants him gone.
Cut him out. Leave. Goodbye. Adios.
It's not NAIA Fans Nation Network.
Right?
Nope.
Hey, if Eastern never gets an opportunity to move up, y'all are dead to me. I don't
That's
care.
the end.
Y'all
I've already moved
dead
up,
to me.
buddy.
Yeah,
I
Jamie's
know,
still
and
stuck around.
That just means you have no friends. You got to
I
stick with
don't.
us poor D2 folks.
Yeah.
Yep. JV. All right, we won't insult the FCS anymore. We know you love you guys. More shout outs here at the end. Let's get into some amazing fan questions. Obviously, with us rolling into a long off season, which is always sad. So for the final time in season 6, it's time for the Big 7.
The top 7 FCS topics of the week. This is the Big 7.
All righty, Jamie Williams and Kyler Neal. This first question, and I kind of structured these 7 questions more to revolve around SDSU for the first 2. Then we kind of get into, the possibility of the top 4 and 5 next season and some transitional periods. And then we'll go all the way into some big, bold predictions for 2023. We're going to start, though, of course, with our national champion, South Dakota State. Hell of a year for them. Congratulations to the Jackrabbits and all their fans. Seth Meyer wants to know, where would you rank this Jackrabbits team that just won the Natty among the other teams that have won it all since the game has been in Frisco? So before you guys give me your thoughts on the comparison to other teams, just we didn't get a lot of questions regarding SDSU's performance. So just tell me a little bit about what you thought about the Jackrabbits, how they performed that day, and then tell me how you think it stacks up for the Frisco team specifically. What do you think there, Mr. Neal? How did these Rabbits look to you?
I mean, they just looked better in every single facet of the game. They were more explosive. They were bigger. They were faster. They were more talented. They were more athletic. They were smarter. across the board, this was one of the weaker performances we've seen from an opposing team in Frisco. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. The score actually made it look a little closer than the game actually felt when we were there, which is crazy because it was a blowout loss. So the Jackrabbits, I mean, absolutely dominated. NDSU was fairly injured, but that's not an excuse if they were healthy. Probably a similar outcome, maybe not as big, but SDSU, this was their year to win. Now, where does it compare? There's only really like 3 other teams in the Frisco era where I think it's a comparable to this SDSU team. You probably have the 2013 NDSU Bison, the 2018 NDSU Bison. I know some people think the 2019 one was a little better. I don't agree with the statistics. And then you have that 2016 JMU. Then you have South Dakota State. I think those are the top 4 teams in the Frisco era. And I'd probably slide in South Dakota State right where James Madison was. I do think the 2013 team is still the best statistically. Then I think it is 2018. And then I got to say that South Dakota State, James Madison, I mean, they were a different style of team. They dominated all season against especially FCS opponents. There's a few close games, but overall, I mean, they still won. Yeah, I would say it's probably around there. So probably 3 to 4 in the Frisco era in terms of just amazing team. But I mean, look at that list. There's been some incredible teams in the Frisco era. Unfortunately, one of them is North Dakota State, and they're there too many times. But yeah, I'd probably slide them around that 3rd or 4th slot.
I love how Seth put this question in terms of the Nattys amongst these Frisco teams, right? Because then it makes it a little bit more concise. Jamie Williams, what do you think, man? Your reaction to the Jackrabbits first on that big victory, and then which team do they stack up against here?
Yeah, of course, I didn't expect them to come in here and just blow North Dakota State out of the water, but that's what they did almost from the start. Now, NDSU did respond with the touchdown pass, and honestly, Cam Miller is not the reason they lost. Cam played fairly well. He did have to take a couple chances. First interception, probably a misread. The second one, just trying to make a play. But South Dakota State put them in that position, and really they never could really get the run game going. I know they ran for 160 yards or something like that, but it sure didn't feel like that because they stuck to their game plan. Good for them, but it didn't feel like it was in question. Probably once it went 14-7, I was just waiting for the coronation and how are they going to do it, and then a couple exclamation points there towards the end. But yeah, where they rank, I think Kyler's right. I think he nailed it pretty dead on right there on track with our 16 team. You argue those 2 teams. That's probably the best comp for what this SDSU team did, but it was a phenomenal performance and they left no doubt.
Yeah, I kept thinking about 2012 North Dakota State the whole time I watched them. I was just like, it wasn't a guarantee every time. You knew how great and good they were. Now that NDSU team in 2012 did lose to an FCS team where, of course, the Jackrabbits only lost to FBS Iowa, but just in terms of their style, like the physicality, the way they moved the ball, the way the defense played, I really thought 2012 was a good comp. I would say the passing game was way more improved for the Jacks comparison to 2012. But if you wanted to stack them all up, I can see your arguments for basically anywhere. I don't think I would accept something over like the 2013 NDSU team, winning that Kansas State game, and they just bulldozed everybody known to man. But they certainly are one of the top, would we agree, probably top 5, top 6 teams in the Frisco era.
Oh, for sure.
Easily.
For sure, top 5, top 6. I mean, I'm trying to
I think 3 or
3
4. Yeah.
3 or 4. Okay. Yeah. Very impressive. And honestly, those are the kind of things that will, you'll argue about at the tailgate in 3-4 years from now. Trust me, NDSU fans debate their own rack and stack all the time. But right now, all that matters is that they came away with that national title. Very, very impressive how they did. Let's stick with the Jackrabbits, though. And this one's got me curious here. Last season finale podcast of season 5, we were all like, well, next year is going to be very boring because North Dakota State's going to roll everybody, and we'll just see the same old result. And it didn't go that way. So Brandon Owens of Cocky Nation, had a great time with him down in Frisco. Mr. Owens, hopefully see you there again next year, my man. That was a good time. He says, with SDSU returning basically everyone, what are their chances of making it back to Frisco and repeating? Boy, my gut tells me they are very high. But Jamie, what are you thinking, my man?
Yeah, I mean, the chances are very high, but now they got to go do it. Now you're the top dog. Now you're the one everybody's chasing. You're going to get everybody's best game. I wouldn't be surprised if the marker goes back to Fargo this time. Just that's that extra motivation. Everybody is going to give SDSU their best shot, and the Jackrabbits have the talent to withhold everybody's best shot. So they're obviously going to go into the season the clear favorite right now. And I don't want to get too far into another question. There's a pretty solid gap between them and everybody else right now. So they're going to, like I said, go in the favorite, and then now they just have to do it. And the matter of, can they do it? Can they hold up? Can they avoid the injury bug? They don't lose much, but the couple they lose on defense are pretty important players up the middle. So we'll be interested to see what they do. But their schedule, yeah, you've got it up there, should lend them to a pretty solid season.
Yeah, that's where I'm feeling like SDSU will go undefeated and win next year in Frisco. I feel like they will run the table, and I think they will win it all again next season. Now, people are probably thinking, okay, well, are you just rinse, wash, repeating what you thought about NDSU last year? They're the champions, all this. Let me give you the difference and the reason why I feel South Dakota State has such a good chance for this. Number one, everybody, kind of like Incarnate Word, undervalued certain aspects of the North Dakota State team, including myself. Everybody assumed North Dakota State last year would just simply reload. Like, that was the thing. Okay, they're going to bring a bunch back, but what they do lose, they'll reload. The fact is they didn't. NDSU in 2021 lost all 4 of their starting defensive linemen and a depth defensive tackle. They lost both their middle linebackers and Jazeer Cox to the transfer portal. He was an outside linebacker. Their front 7 got gutted from the starting ranks. They also lost Christian Watson, Noah Gindorf, and their other top tight end. Of course, Gindorf was an injury. But so when you think, how did NDSU struggle? Why were they so bad in certain areas? It was the passing game where they lost all their targets, and their front 7 got gutted. And everyone in the media and us, we just said, well, they're NDSU, they'll reload. Here's the difference for South Dakota State. From my understanding, besides Tucker Kraft, the entire offense comes back from the starters. I'm sure there's a few depth guys that I don't know about, but the whole thing comes back. That huge line, Amar Johnson, Isaiah Davis, Mark Gronowski. I mean, the Yankee twins are coming back. This stuff was built off of the 2019-2020 recruiting classes, and these guys have COVID years, and they're able to come back. And defensively, talking to the SDSU guys, I think they only lose 3 starters, maybe 4. And that is very different from saying, well, we just think they're going to reload, when you just return it all. And I think Coach Stig probably going to coach another year. I think he's gonna have his assistants back. I heard Mark Gronowski on an interview talk about how there's no better place where anyone would want to be playing than SDSU right now in the FCS. These guys are tight-knit, they're cultured, and the schedule has flipped for them. They were on the road to all the tough places last year. They were at UNI, they were at North Dakota State, they were at UND. Tough place to play, not a great team. But when you look at the schedule, and I've got it pulled up here, they get UND at home. They get North Dakota State at home. They get Northern Iowa at home. So unless you're going to tell me that Southern Illinois is going to be some world beater next year, all their tough conference games are going to be in Brookings. And they play Montana State to open the year in Brookings. I know they've still got a game to fill, but for all of those reasons, and I've always stood on this hill too, I think it's easier to win it again once you are the champion, even with the target on your back. I think it's harder to get back after you lose. So a lot of people say, well, we'll be back. We're going to come back. It's harder to get back there after you've lost the game. So I think South Dakota State is definitely going to make it to Frisco next year, and I have them heavy favorites to repeat. Kyler, what do you think, man?
I mean, if you're just looking at betting and odds, yeah, they're going to be the heavy favorites by a wide margin. The thing is, like, football is a crazy game. There's injuries. I hope it doesn't happen to any team, but that's just something you can't count on. Also, if we look at like this last year's, they were in 3 games, just a few seconds away from losing 3 other games. That could have sent them on the road again in this playoffs. As good as this South Dakota State team was, do they have enough firepower to go on the road, right? Some things bounced their way this year that got them home field advantage. It's really tough to win on the road throughout in the playoffs. We don't know. I think the Valley's going to be more improved this year than it was last year. Last year, most teams were rebuilding. Most teams are actually a little bit more reloading. A lot of teams are returning a lot of good players. I think the Valley's going to be extremely strong next year. So, yeah, the easy answer is just to go, absolutely. They return everyone. They dominated this year overall, especially in the playoffs when they got healthier. But football's crazy. I know you say it's easier to return when you win them because you're a North Dakota State fan. Look at the rest of the teams that have won one and did not return the next year, right? There's few sure that have, like App State.
I think that's NDSU's fault. Otherwise, JMU and a lot of others, Sam Houston's, they probably do win back-to-backs.
Maybe not. I mean,
at least we got back.
Yeah. So I don't know if I totally just agree with that. I think it's going to be hard either way, but they got the target on their back. They are going to give everyone's going to give them their best game. That's something that maybe SDSU hasn't had to do in the past. This is NDSU's world. We are going to prep for NDSU. We are going to give them their best game. Now SDSU gets a little bit of that where everyone's looking at them on the schedule going, they're circling it. They don't care if they're rivals or not. They're circling that game, especially with how they just dominated North Dakota State going, we want them. We want to dethrone them. So, I mean, it's hard. Do I think they can? Absolutely. They're loaded. They're talented. They're big. They're fast. They're strong. They're athletic. Everything we've just been praising them in the last question. They are by far the best team on paper right now, but injuries can happen. All they have to do is slip up 1-2 plays, and you can have a loss in there, which means maybe instead of a 1 seed, you're an 8 seed, and you're going on the road, and there are some tough road environments that are just really hard to win at. So I don't want to just, throw down my condo on it yet. It looks promising. I'm not willing to bet it right now.
Man, maybe folks have learned from our season finale of last year. We'll see how it plays out. Speaking of hostile other areas, though, Kyler, I want to throw these 2 questions combined into one to you, Mr. Cody Werlinger and Michael Hamill. Cody says, how big is the gap between SDSU and NDSU and the rest of the field, with knowing Montana State got boat raced by SDSU this year and NDSU last year? Do you think, and this is Michael here, do you think Montana State will be even better, scarier next year, retaining most of their starters and having more veteran offensive and defensive linemen? Okay, so we're transitioning away from SDSU and stuff, and we're going into kind of our top 4 from this season and what they're going to look like. So what do you think, Kyler? Is there a gap between SDSU and everybody, SDSU, NDSU, and others? And I want you really to focus into Montana State because most people will say that could be the savior.
Well, if you look at just the performance this year, NDSU was much closer to Incarnate Word, Sac State, and MSU than they were SDSU. So I don't like that question right off the bat saying, is it the 2 Dakotas and everyone else? Right now, on paper, it looks like it's South Dakota and everyone else. They are tier 1 for what
South Dakota State.
South Dakota State. No, screw them. The Coyotes. South Dakota State. It looks like they're tier 1. Then you have a pretty wide, maybe more of a narrow tier 2 because of some of the coaching changes that we've seen. But in terms of like Montana State, I said it a lot in the beginning of this podcast. This was their rebuilding year. They were supposed to be bad, in my opinion. They lost a lot of their linemen. They lost their star caliber, defensive players. They lost their star wide receiver. This was their down rebuilding year. And all of a sudden, if you take the last 2 weeks of the season, they looked better against SDSU on a frozen turf than NDSU did versus SDSU. Those 2 teams are right now on the same tier, and MSU reloads everyone. They should be a little more talented. They should be a little bigger. They should be a little faster. They should learn the game speed a little bit better because, again, this was a reloading year, and they reloaded. Or this was a rebuilding year, and they ended up reloading and performed pretty well until they had to go to Brookings. I'm not sure where Incarnate Word falls. I'm not sure where Sac State falls. I'm not sure where Weber falls. I'm not sure where Montana falls. But at least it looks like it's SDSU right now by themselves, and then maybe MSU and NDSU kind of on that cusp where they could be biting at SDSU's toes. I don't know. But I would say those 3 are kind of the gap, and then there's everyone else right now until we maybe see a few more weeks, because some of those other top tier teams like Sac State, they performed really well against Incarnate Word, looked the exact same against NDSU, right? I would say those were on par with each other. Same with MSU. There's two of those teams where I have no clue what they're going to be next year. I could probably discredit them, and then all of a sudden they'll prove me wrong like I did with Incarnate Word again. So I don't want to do that right now because their transfers are looking incredible. But it is one of those things. There's definitely a big gap, and NDSU may be up with SDSU in that tier again this year. Maybe this was that one down year for them, and then they're going to be back at the top, dominating everyone. But as of paper, as the season ends, SDSU by themselves, tier 1. You have MSU, NDSU, maybe 1 to 2 other teams kind of lumped in that tier 2 who can maybe be competitive with SDSU.
Yeah, Montana State, I remember talking to you guys in the beginning of the preseason, showing that depth chart for them and being like, wow, look how small and young the Montana State offensive line was. Remember, we looked at it, we're like,
yeah,
based off weight, they were small, and based off of age and freshman, sophomore, they were young, and they still performed really well. So from my understanding, all of them are coming back. So it's just, can they close the gap on
besides
SDSU?
Afonso, potentially.
Yeah, Afonso, yep.
But they only used him in the last 2 games of the season, and it didn't really help much.
Correct. Yep. Very good. Very good. Jamie, any thoughts on Montana State before we roll into our next top 4 team?
Yeah, I think Montana State is going to be right on par with NDSU. Vegan has shown to be an excellent coach. He's recruited well. Like Kyler said, Afonso won't be back, but pretty much everybody else is. Still a very young team and still a very talented team. They just happened to get their butt kicked. Just like William & Mary went in there and was cold and it showed when they went to the Prairie and got cold. They just weren't ready to play, and I don't think that happens again. But yeah, I think Montana State's going to be right there. They're going to be the team that's probably going to win the Big Sky. Because I think Sac State's going to take a significant step back without Troy Taylor.
Too.
And Weber would do, coaching matters in the FCS, and they could have both hired excellent coaches. But Troy Taylor and Jay Hill were probably 2 of the top 5 coaches in the FCS. So unless you find 2 more top 5 coaches, they're both going to take a step back. So Montana State looks like the best team in the Big Sky, a deep Big Sky again, with a challenge from Idaho. But yeah, they're still going to be on the same tier as NDSU. It's a chasm between SDSU and everybody else right now. And then I think the next 2, and then 4 on back, I think is the next tier that's pretty far back. But that's why they play the games, and that's why we still got 8 months to talk about it till they get going. And who knows what happens portal wise and transfers and spring ball and all that mess. There's a lot that's going to happen until we get to week 0.
Yes, there is. There is a lot that can happen. A lot can change. And Jason Plotkin, of course, wants to point that out. With the next question here, with a new head coach and a highly recognized transferring quarterback, does Incarnate Word remain in the conversation? Here we go. The old Incarnate Word. We give credit to one Sam Herder of Hero Sports, probably the only guy besides our good friends at the FCS Trivia. Say it, Tyler.
Triumvirate.
I had too many margaritas when they tried to explain that name to me. The Incarnate Word going to be coming in strong. Oh, I should have wore that shirt tonight. Now I feel really bad. Now I feel terrible. I got some off-season content coming in a week. I'll be rocking the Incarnate Word gear. I'll save that conversation for later because I'm going to bring them up in a good light. Let's talk about Incarnate Word, the football team. Okay, so we all had ye of little faith going into this next season, and boy, did they prove us wrong.
Yeah.
We looked like idiots, which is completely fine. Jamie, though, transfers are flowing in, a high-profile quarterback. Is Incarnate Word going to be right back in this conversation?
I ain't making that mistake again. When when you first start to look at how teams are going to be, especially as a voter, start thinking about next year. Initially, it's like, okay, Lindsey Scott's going to be gone. This team's probably going to be 15th coming into the season. And then you watch, they hire a coach that is homegrown, going to love the program, is going to bleed for the program. And then you watch the transfers filter in. And transfers is not a perfect scenario. If you hit on them like they did with Lindsey Scott, then you see what they can do. or you could be Jacksonville State, and you saw what they did. But it seems very thoughtful the way they brought in their transfers. So I'm not going to doubt them for next year. Won't have them at 3 where I had them finish this year. Thinking probably more 7 and 9, just until I see it. But I still think they're a top 10 team going into next year, and they'll prove me right and stay there and go up, or we're 1 year too late on saying they're going to take a down year, then they'll take the nosedive. But they'll still, I mean, they're in the Southland, though. It'll be them in southeastern Louisiana, and that helps.
It will be interesting to see how it plays out. Also, I want to say for the FCS poll guys, your official tag on Twitter is at FCS poll. So I'm just going to call you FCS poll from now on, and I'm going to get away with that since I can't pronounce things to save my life. Oh, North Dakota education, Kyler,
Lord.
you also had to have a pie in the face about Incarnate Word. You going to make the same mistake again? From the Blue Bloods, also a great gentleman we got to meet here this last Frisco weekend. New Incarnate Word head coach is on a hot trail with the recruiting. According to this tweet on January 11th, 8 FBS transfers from the Power 5, 2 FCS transfers, one of them an all-conference selection, and 2 JUCO all-conference selection transfers. That is a lot of talent. What do you think, Kyler? The Cardinals going to be okay?
Yeah, so transfers could be really beneficial if they buy into the program right away, right? If the culture is there, if they're buying in, if they're ready to compete with everyone else. It's when, you have a transfer culture where that transfer just automatically thinks, I'm going to start, who cares? And, maybe they don't have that full buy-in. It seems like everything Incarnate Word is doing is to get these players to buy in right away. I definitely had pie in my face in the beginning of the season until about week 2-3, where I completely changed my tune. I started talking about them every single week. Got to watch them live. This is a phenomenal team. This does remind me of a program that's going to be maybe that next 2020s Sam Houston, maybe that next 2020s Eastern Washington, where you just have this very potent offense, but it's efficient. And you have a defense that is good enough to create some turnovers to keep you kind of in the game and let your offense cook. They do remind me of some of those teams that are just going to continue to reload on that offensive talent. But they're bringing in some good defensive players too, which is pretty exciting. Like Jamie said, they're in the Southland. You just got really one tough test in the year. If you win out, you're going to get another high seed. And yeah, man, I don't know where I'm going to put them. It's not going to be 4, unfortunately. Sorry, FCS poll guys. I like that, Matt, because I always mess it up too.
Yep, the poll. Yep.
I'm not putting you guys at 4, but I'm not dropping you all the way down to like 22 like I did last year. And even that, I was going, I don't think you're going to be ranked by the end of the year. I ranked them in the beginning, but it was a non-believable rank for me. I mean, I don't know why. I just don't know who else is going to be here. So you're going to fill up this spot for a few weeks. And they kept proving us wrong. Yeah, I would say probably anywhere from that 5 to 10 spot is a fairly good preseason poll. I mean, they could beat UTEP, and UTEP was a bowl team. They're going to slaughter Northern Colorado. I think that Southeastern Louisiana game, I like Incarnate Word's chances, even with a whole rebuild. Then you look at the rest. I don't see who they're losing to. And again, I don't even know all the players that are going to be on Incarnate Word's team, but you got to buy into them a little bit. They do look like they're building it the right way, and they could be a pretty scary team in the next few years, but I don't know where they're going to be in between that 4 and 12 range.
Yeah, that schedule says seed.
It especially if there might be favored to beat UTEP, and that's going to be an FBS win. And
UTEP won a bowl game this year, so I don't know if they'll be favored, but
it could be close.
It might be closer than what some people think at UTEP.
For sure. And the committee will weigh that in no way possible and just do whatever they want. So that's what we learned this year. All right, guys, moving away from Incarnate Word, we may come back to them here later in the quick hit questions. Here we go. Moving in next season, gentlemen. Andrew Markham and Michael Hamill coming back at us, kind of combine their questions together here. What is your guys' way too early top 5 or top 10 if you'd like? So one of them asked top 10, one of them asked top 5. So we're just going to clean the slate easy. Everyone's going to say SDSU number 1, maybe debate NDSU, MSU at 2, NDSU number 2. Okay. So really the questions will be like, Actually, yeah, Montana State 3. I see your guys' if you're watching on YouTube, everyone's like, waste of time. Really, the question is like your 4 to 10, where
It's
we're
so
kind of
tough.
looking at it. And I'm going to share the screen here of the stats gentleman. I believe this is Craig Haley who wrote this up in the way too early top 10. Yes, Craig Haley got it here. So he's got SDSU, North Dakota State, Montana State. And then below that, he lists William and Mary, Holy Cross, Furman, stealing my thunder here, Idaho, New Hampshire, Montana, Southeast Missouri. And then he says there's 5 more you need to know: Sacramento State, Samford, Southeastern Louisiana, UC Davis, and Incarnate Word. So he doesn't even have Incarnate Word up there, but that could have been pre-transfer stuff. So we'll give him a break there. What do you think, Jamie? You're the Stats Top 25 voter. You're going to rank all 130 whatever FCS teams is going to be in 2023. You're going to have a podcast episode about it. What is your gut telling you for that 4 to 10 range? Who should we be looking for?
Yeah, I'm actually working on my end of season 1 through 130 right now. So I'll probably have that done sometime this week. So look out for that. I've got Furman at number 4 right now.
Woo,
Way too early. Just for one of the main reasons, just read what Craig wrote there. I mean, returning 10 starters, that was a very, very good defense that had Incarnate Word beat and let them off the hook. At number 5, I've got Idaho. So I skipped William and Mary and Holy Cross. I think William and Mary is probably 6. Samford 7, Holy Cross 8, Incarnate Word 8, Holy Cross 9, and give or take it 10. Gino has his back, so SEMO, like Craig has. Those are kind of the teams I'm looking at. I left a team out intentionally because it's going to be my answer for the next question.
Perfect. Kyler, is your gut kind of telling you the same thing, or are there a few there you're just like, no way? Jamie stole my thunder there with Furman, but the last time Jamie and I picked a purple team to be top 4 preseason, sorry, Rev, it just went up into flames. So maybe I shouldn't go with Furman as my gut team. Kyler, what's your gut telling you for a top 5 for next season?
So I've been trying to think about this for the last 10 seconds. Zero prep in this podcast. I'm having a really hard time. I might need to go find some magic mushrooms and go on a vision quest to try and figure out what's going to be my 4, 5, 6, 7. I really have no clue. I think every single year we're able to at least pinpoint like this should be the top 10 teams. Are they going to end the season top 10? I don't know. Idaho should be quite a bit improved. That was their first year. They're returning better players. They're recruiting well. Eck is going to turn that program into potentially a nightmare of a program if you're a Big Sky team. William and Mary, I mean, their coach, you got to trust. Well, did London still staying, right?
Yep. They lost the defensive coordinator, who's now the new head man at A&T.
But London has a phenomenal success record, track record. That was his first year. I mean, he's going to continue to improve that program. Do I think they'll make that stride? I don't know. But they're there. Holy Cross, it's hard to kind of denounce them because they actually gave SDSU the toughest game in the playoffs. Right?
And Fluke is back.
And he's back, and he's a gamer. Now, I think that was more of a fluke than could they do it every single week? I don't think so. This is really tough because I don't believe in really Sacramento State right now. Weber makes it really tough. UC Davis, they should be better than they were last year, and they gave SDSU a battle, but I don't think they're top 5 caliber, top 15, sure. I don't believe in Southeastern Missouri to be in that top 4. I don't really believe in Montana until I figure out a quarterback to be in that top 4. I don't know. And again, it is such a cop-out answer. You can blame it on my lack of prep for this. But even if you gave me 2 days, I don't think I would have an answer that I feel comfortable or confident in just going, this is going to be my top 5 to start the season. This is going to be my top 10. I'm going to have to wait until August, really, before I put some things into motion, see who else is leaving the program, see what else someone's got. Let's see how camp's starting to go. Let's see how spring season or a spring camp's going. Because right now I'm having a hard time to figure out 4 through 10.
It will be interesting to see what happens in 2023. As you gentlemen know, I'm probably the latest and worst with polls, so I'll leave your expertise to that question to answer that one for Andrew and Michael. Thank you so much
Thank
for the
you,
fan
Jamie,
questions.
for answering the question.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie, for taking that one because
Quit hit
holy
section
moly,
because Kyler and Matt suck.
it will make for a very interesting 2023 though if lots of people are having that same gut reaction as us where they're like, I don't really know. Like, am I ready to elevate Furman? Am I ready to elevate Idaho? I want to, but and of course there's going to be some outliers.
Yeah.
Speaking of outliers and unknowns, Mr. Seth Meyer, who is going to be this year's Samford and come out of nowhere to make an unexpected run to the playoffs, and who's going to be this year's Missouri State and massively disappoint. Okay, so I really don't like the hire for Weber State to go with the offensive coordinator as their head coach. He might know the system. I know they were a top 25 offense, but I felt like Weber State was really predicated off a defensive identity, and maybe he keeps that culture going, but I think Jay Hill is a huge loss. I'm not sure about the internal hire. I really don't like Sac State's head coaching hire, but I think that one's too easy. So I think that Weber State is actually going to be the team that massively disappoints. Now, I picked Montana State last year, and that didn't turn out very well. But I'm going to go with Weber to take a big slide down. I think Jay Hill is very, very, very undervalued in terms of what he brought to that specific program. And in terms of this year's Samford, that's going to come out of nowhere and make an unexpected run in the playoffs. In the playoffs is a tough, tough one. I might have to look at that one a little bit. Jamie, what's your gut telling you for surprise on either side of the house?
So if Max Brosmer can take a step forward, New Hampshire is going to be a very tough team to beat next year. That might be one of my teams to watch in the CAA. I think they're going to make a big run. I know they made the playoffs this year, but it was kind of a whimper. They did beat Furman and then got smoked by Holy Cross. I think New Hampshire is really going to compete for the CAA next year, so they're going to be one of those teams that's going to make a big run. As far as who's going to disappoint, somebody tell me who's going to play quarterback at Montana, because they've been looking for one for a couple of years. And I know people, people are going to get on Twitter and say, you just hate Montana. What have they proven?
Honestly, it's a valid question in terms of what they're going to be returning and who's going to be there. I hope my Grizz can survive next season. Kyler, what do you think? A disappointment, a surprise?
I got two teams that I think can make a pretty decent run that maybe some people aren't thinking of. Because I think Idaho is going to be a cop-out answer. I don't think anyone would be shocked by that. I think UC Davis and North Dakota, they both have a chance to make a deep run. They both have brutal schedules this last year. They had to, go on the road, and then UC Davis didn't make the playoffs when maybe they should have. At the end of the day, they seem to be better than Montana, but that one different win was kind of a big difference. So I think those two programs, if they can get it rolling, they have a shot to make a deep run in the playoffs, maybe quarterfinals, maybe one of them semis if the ball bounces the right way. Now, a team that's probably going to regress, that is tough because on paper, Weber should regress, Sac State should regress, but those aren't anything that it like jumps off the page and you're like, oh, I never knew they were going to regress. Here's going to be my pick. Just because I want to make Jamie upset and Craig Haley upset and Matt upset. Furman is going to regress. Let's go back 3 years ago when Kyler said this Furman team gets way too much damn respect. They haven't proven anything. They are a second round, a quarterfinal team at max. What did we just see? They were a first round team, right? Or second round. Who did they play in the first round? It was a bum.
Elon.
Yeah, bum team. So you know what? People are just propping that up. Craig Haley said he's going to be in the top 5. Jamie just said potentially top 4.
They played Incarnate Word as good as North Dakota State did.
So did a few other teams.
That could be top 4 worthy. Come on now.
No. Furman is going to get bounced if they make the playoffs in the first round. Don't have a lot of faith that they're going to do anything special. They don't excite me. So that's my pick. I think
that doesn't upset me. I don't care about Furman. I just picked them.
I know. I just want to be different from you. But no, I care. I think Furman's going to get a lot of preseason love. I think they're going to be back in that top 10 caliber like they were a few years ago. I just don't see it. I think they're going to be closer to 25 than they are 10.
As it says on the back of their helmets, F you all the time, Kyler Neal. Unbelievable.
I've been right most of the time with them.
The Paladins. I do want to expand on my Weber State thing since you brought them back up. Here you go, 2023 schedule. Northern Iowa, at Northern Iowa, Utah, Montana State. Then they get 2 easy ones, but then UC Davis, Eastern Washington, I'd like to think would be a little bit improved. Idaho, they've got easy teams like Cal Poly and Idaho State, but that might slip them into the playoffs barely. I don't know how much they'll be favorites in a lot of those games. I think that's a pretty brutal out-of-conference schedule. So that combined with a new coach, which I think could change. New quarterback. Maybe I'll be wrong, but we'll see. So those are some of my justifications there. All right, guys, that does bring us to our final question in the Big Seven, which is from Mr. Andrew Markham. Who was the biggest surprise this year? Who was the biggest letdown? So let's just go around the table. Where were you when you looked at the teams you were just completely shocked by, and who was your biggest surprise? What do you got, Kyler?
Incarnate Word, biggest surprise, or Idaho. I think they're on a tier by themselves in that biggest surprise. They did a lot with the first-year coach. My biggest letdown, unfortunately, is the coolest mascot in the game, the Salukis. A lot of us had high hopes for you guys, and really just didn't pan out, especially because you brought us through a roller coaster of emotions in the first half of the season. Oh my God, you're the worst team ever. You suck. You absolutely suck. Oh, they might be pretty damn good. They got that FBS upset, that P5 upset. Oh, they look like they could maybe upset a North Dakota State, upset a South Dakota State. Nope, you absolutely suck again. So, Salukis, you were my biggest letdown of the year, and I was let down a lot this year, so that's just saying something.
I guess I have to go with, and Kyler, you called it. Okay, you called it, you said it, and you love them. I did not think Eastern Washington would be that horrifically bad.
Oh, me neither. I thought they were going to be okay, not bad.
I thought they'd be all right. You were like, we're going to miss the playoffs. And I was like, okay, yeah, they're going to regress to miss the playoffs. I was shocked. And they were in top 25 polls. Like, Hero, us, others had them top 25 to start the season.
Only out of respect.
Yeah, Eastern's massive drop was shocking to me. I'd also like to jump on the back of that to say Kennesaw. I was like,
was bad.
Geez, like we were all thinking. I
forgot all about them. That's how bad they were.
Isn't that crazy to think? Preseason 2022, we were like, heck, people were putting them in the top 10. We were thinking that this was going to be a team.
I said out of the big three, they have the best shot to make a run at the semis.
Yeah.
So, oops.
I mean, I could keep going down the line. East Tennessee State. You're just, we're like, they were so young. They've got such a good shot. Jeez, I should start being positive here instead of negative,
Nope.
I guess the team that I would say that would be mostly, I don't know if it's a super shocker based off where they finished, but Southeastern Louisiana, I think, was a good surprise to continue their success of the year before. Like, I don't think any of us were going to be like, definitely going to win the Southland, going to make the playoffs. They got that first round playoff win against Idaho, almost, had a really good battle in the second round. So I think people expected them to drop down. So I was pleasantly surprised for Danny Johnson and the Lions to do so well. Mm-hmm. Jamie, got a surprise, got let down.
Let down, the wax sun.
Unlike the Bills did not let down. Yeah, the wax sun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Incarnate Word, I mean, who had them within one play of beating SDSU, but Kyler already took that. So, I mean, obviously Samford, I doubted them all year, and they made a big run. So excellent season from Samford. They just kept going, and we didn't even talk about them in the top 10 a little bit ago. I think they might be right there because Hires is coming back from what I understand. So that's a good thing. Biggest letdown to me, and I hate to say it, is North Carolina A&T. You were supposed to win the Big South. Yeah. You were supposed to make the playoffs. Like, you're supposed to run through that conference. Guess what? Now you're going to the CAA. You're in also ran. It stinks because love their fan base. And just for years, you think they're just going to take that step, and they just can't do it. And I don't know why. Hired Wade Mary's defensive coordinator, Vince Brown. So we'll see if he can get some improvement going there and see what happens. But yeah, that was a big letdown for me. They should have ran through the Big South this year. So hate to say it. Sorry, Eggs.
Well, you guys have just reminded me to maybe tone down my SDSU love for next year. Still confident, but boy, we always think we know what we know. And then football actually is played and football actually happens. So, what definitely happened in Frisco was the eating of many, 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 many tacos following that game. So, why not do a taco bet for next year?
It's time to put your money where your mouth is. And if you're right, put some tacos in there too. This is Thompson's Taco Bets.
Oh my goodness. Big shout out to the Taco King, one Brian Thompson. Golf clap. Brian Thompson provided us with some amazing tacos down in Frisco from what was that amazing place, Kyler, you had us go?
Yeah, Torchy's.
Torchy's. Holy moly, were those tacos good. Had a huge slate of them. We had Thumper. We had his wife Ariel. We had some SDSU fans. We had Montana Parlay and a bunch of other folks come over. Had some great tacos after the game. We paid out all the taco bets, and it was just a good, glorious time. So Andrew Markham wants us to kick off next year with a taco bet right now. XDSUs, meaning NRS, for a Natty repeat or the field. So I'm not sure if he means a Natty repeat in terms of the actually, yeah, let's do that. Andrew, I'm going to tweak it if I'm reading this wrong. Let's do those NDSUs, SDSUs for a Natty repeat matchup or the field to stop the matchup. There you go. So you're going to have to bank off of the opposite sides of the bracket as well. What do you think? This is a matchup question, Jamie. What do you got?
I'll take the field. I think South Dakota State comes back, and I think North Dakota State gets tripped up.
All righty. Kyler, what do you got, my man?
Yeah, it's just, they're going to play in the regular season. One of them is going to lose, which obviously is going to push their seeding down. Maybe not as bad as what we thought because NDSU kind of got a seed maybe they didn't truly deserve. So who knows? But in terms of just betting on this one, you just got to take the field. Now, if it was the XDSUs winning a national title, I might change my tune a little bit.
Do that one too. Double taco
just because
bet.
You said
do
full
that one too.
rematch.
Do it too.
Yeah, I mean the smart bet right now is just betting the XDSUs to win a national title. I would take them right now over the field. I think that's just the smarter bet because out of the top three teams, they have two of them, at least on paper. That's what we think. So hopefully injuries don't happen. But yeah, a repeat of the actual national title game, I'll take the field on that one. It can happen, but yeah.
I'm ruining the taco bet. Jamie, do the other format of this question. XDSUs for a Natty repeat or the field? NDSU, SDSU wins it all or the field? What do you think? Answer that one too.
Not taking the field on that one.
Yeah, we're taking Dakotas on that one. We're taking the field in the matchup.
Interesting. Okay, I will take the Dakotas for a Natty repeat, and I will take the matchup. I'll take them both. So I'll agree with you on one, disagree with you on the other. So man, might be boring next year, but maybe we'll have a trip up with somebody. All right, gentlemen, last one of the season. Quick hit questions.
Just because your question is answered quickly doesn't mean we don't care. These are the quick hit questions of the week.
Plan to redo some of those images and voiceovers, but I'm not switching the taco one. I'm not switching the quick hit ones. I think those ones flow just perfectly. Those ones are going to stay. All right, gentlemen, we roll into the quick hit questions, and we're going to start here with the Rev, Mr. Dustin Helton, Mr. Bunny Suit himself. Jamie, I'll start with you. He wants to know the top 3 events of this year's Frisco weekend. Let's talk about our fun down there a little bit. What were some top 3 times for you, my man?
Yeah, actually, I thought about this, and it's kind of easy. First is just the opportunity to get down there and hang out with you guys and everybody in the network and just, go to the bars with everybody and meet up with the people that we talk to all the time. Number 2, just the appreciation that I felt like we got from a lot of fans that walk through the parking lot that, enjoy the podcast and appreciate what we do because we do it, to talk amongst ourselves, but to, give people some information and hope they enjoy it. And they did. Number 3 for me, right at the end of the game, after the game ended, I wasn't going on the field.
This is cool. This was cool.
But I had to take one opportunity. If you remember, our season ended last year in the Fargo Dome, and in large part to a very athletic play by Destin Talbot. Maybe not always the best timing, but as everybody was rushing the field, Destin was one of the first people coming off the field. I took an opportunity. I jumped down, yelled for him. He actually came over, all class there, just told him I appreciated the athleticism of that play. And even though it hurt, I couldn't do anything but take my hat off to him, and sorry that this year went the way it did. So just the opportunity to, speak to Destin and give him the props for that play last year. And he was very good to stop on his way back to the locker room after a tough loss. So that was cool, personal for me, just to be able to, have a few minutes with him, because I tried to hunt him down on the field last year to give him the same prop. But, 1 year later, it's still pretty cool. Good guy. It's class. That's what you get from players in Fargo.
See, and Jamie's undervaluing it a little bit because he's brought up how much that play has stung while also being so mature about how impressive that play was. So for you to, you've talked about that play since the day it happened on the page, on our podcast. And I watched Jamie. He just leaped down there. He was like, I'm taking this chance. It was like Rose and Jack jumping off the Titanic, taking the leap. And he went for it. And Dustin very professionally shook his hand and couldn't have been more cordial after a tough loss. But I'd like to think, I'll never know what went through his head, but I'd like to think that in one of the toughest moments of his life there, that probably meant a lot for him, for a James Madison fan to jump down and give him that recognition. That had to be a lot. So
the only bad thing is I was wearing a South Dakota State shirt instead of my JMU shirt.
What a dick.
I'd say 2020, I would have worn the South Dakota State Saturday night JMU Sunday during the game. But, that is how it went. That's fine.
Probably threw him off a bit. Kyler, top 3 events of Frisco for you. The rest of these will actually be quick hits, but we're taking a moment to recognize here.
Well, I'm going to sound like a dick with my top 3 because Jamie was all nice to everyone. Number 1, the massage chair. By far the best thing that has ever happened in my life. I do not care about you guys as much as I care about that massage chair. That was amazing. I sat in that every day, multiple times a day. It got in places I didn't even know that was a part of my body. So that massage chair is number 1 by far. Number 2, Jamie, I appreciate you bringing a mouth guard, buddy. I got some sleep this weekend. It was nice. I didn't have my dogs waking me up. Jamie's snoring was to a minimum. This was nice. I got to sleep pretty well for the most part. And then, see, again, I said I'm going to sound like a dick because it's all like selfish ones. The third one, I thank God that Chris Tam didn't show up. My liver didn't hurt. He's the only one that drinks with me in the middle of the night at the Airbnb, and he makes me drink right when I wake up. I got
Good Lord, did Brendan try, though? Brendan tried like
he
hell.
Tried. It didn't work. He tried. It didn't work. I can pound him. But I drank liquid IVs in the morning. I got to prep. I got to go to bed at a reasonable time, just a little bit later than you guys. So those are my 3. This is like a relaxing weekend. I got a massage. I got a good night's sleep. And my liver's fine for the first time ever after Frisco. So this is nice.
Gosh. I don't even know how I follow that up. Both of those are just phenomenal. No, I won't waste a lot of time on the question. I have to go with, it's amazing how I don't mean to downplay the folks we see commonly, I love seeing Will, I love seeing Brandon, those guys, but it's amazing how every year it's like we get to meet a few more new people and actually really interact with them. And that for sure is the FCS poll guys. We got to meet with them, have some big frothy margaritas together. And they brought me some Incarnate Word gear. Me and Andrew and everybody talked about military service and other things. And I think that's really cool to meet the Blue Bloods in person and to actually talk to him and interact at the bars. That's definitely number 1. Number 2 is something that can't be understated. And I'm probably going to say it every year is what I really love and respect about Sam Herder is he's just a man of the people. Like Sam Herder is going to respond to you on Twitter. He's going to talk to you on Facebook. He's not going to just leave you out in the dark. And he works his freaking ass off to provide stuff for the FCS. And yet still he's like, where are you guys all hanging out tonight? Because he's not going out to get trashed or to drink. He's going out to be like, here's where a lot of FCS fans from a lot of different backgrounds are. And they're just generally nice people. And he just wants to be part of that. He wants it to be fun. So my top 3 event there I have to throw in is just Sam Herder always making us feel as welcome among real media because we are not.
We're fake.
We're fake. Yeah. So Always impressive. And then the third one, of course, just has to be, I always tell Allison this. I was like, I don't think you understand what a trip with these guys is like. Like most times, even if you go with a group of your really good friends, you've got one that wants to just pressure everyone to party hard or take shots. And you've got one who's like, oh, come on, let's do this. Or like, really, we're going to bed. Or like, what? You're going to DD. Let's get an Uber. Like the weekend is just so chill because the personalities are like, yeah, if you guys want to do this, we can do it. No one feels pressure to do something they don't want to do. I don't drink as much anymore. Jamie will tell you, I don't drink that much. Kyler wants to have a bunch of extra beers. We don't give a crap. Like it doesn't matter. And that's what's really cool about this natural friendship. I really feel like every time I go on this trip, everyone just really enjoys their time in a way where they don't feel like they have to do anything extra besides just be themselves. I think that's really cool. So before we get too sappy about this, which we will again at the end, let's actually hit some more quick hit questions. Matt Pitzer has to say, what teams do you wish had been highlighted more this year in the podcast or in your own discussions? Okay, one word answers here on out. I get this one. I said it in Frisco. North Carolina Central. Hands down. We should have talked about them more. People should have talked about them more. When they beat Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, they said it in the post-game interviews. They said, damn it, we worked our butts off. We were 9-2. We were such a good team, and none of you gave us respect. You only wanted to talk about Deion Sanders. You only wanted to talk about primetime. And none of you want to talk about us. We're really HBCU. And I just love that. And I failed. We all failed. We should have been talking about them a ton more, especially with their big out-of-conference performance to start the year. So I'm going to give that to the true HBCU champs. Does the Rev get celebrity status at Hobo Day festivities? Jason Plotkin wants to know. Kyler, your reaction to the bunny suit of the Rev down there this weekend. I'm sure everybody saw it on ESPN.
Terrifying. I don't have kids, but if I had kids, they would not be around myself and the Rev that weekend. It was terrifying. But yeah, the Rev is a new Brookings celebrity. So yeah, he might get a statue on Hobo Day. I mean, that bunny suit is the perfect outfit.
Cardboard
for a
statue.
bum. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if the Rev makes it to Brookings, I mean, he's getting free drinks all weekend.
100%. Yeah.
He's having a good time.
Go on TikTok if you've got it. Nice little Montana parlay bunny hop viral video.
Perfect.
It's just perfect. Eric Larson wants to know, Jamie, you're the rankings guy. Would you rank SDSU in the final FBS top 25? If yes, then where? I believe Texas was the number 25 team in the final FBS poll. NDSU, I think, actually got a few votes in it in 2013. Would you have put them in the FBS final top 25 to finish the year?
No, absolutely not. I would not have. No, because hell, we didn't make the final top 25, and let's be honest, we would have beaten South Dakota State. But so, I mean, that's two different divisions. But like, they're an excellent, top-notch FCS team. They're not. They wouldn't be top 25 in the FBS.
There you
Maybe
go.
top 50, top 40, but they wouldn't be top 25.
Yeah, you can see it in the 40s range.
Maybe a bowl team.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. Kyler Neal, Andrew Markham coming in hot again. Is the Missouri Valley Conference a two-team conference again, or will it reload? You are so good at like getting ahead of conference strength. What do you think about this one?
Oh, I've been saying this kind of all year. I think, even when I was saying the Big Sky is going to get more teams in the Valley should get 2 to 3 max. I was saying, but next year, I think the Big Sky is going to regress, especially after the coaching changes. And the Valley, I do think is going to be improved. I think the Valley overall next year is going to be by far the best conference, and I don't think we're going to have too many realistic debates. Yeah, I think the Valley's going to probably get 4 to 5 teams next year.
I want to jump back in here real quick. Another team to watch, Youngstown State. I know Jaleel won't be there. Watch Youngstown State next year.
For sure. Yeah, I think the Valley's
terrible. But
5 teams is probably more realistic than 3.
Interesting. So an uprise for the Valley. We'll have to see how it plays out there, Andrew. Next one, Dustin Perman wants to know who benefits and suffers the most from the transfer portal. I will say benefits probably has to do with your coach in terms of their philosophy and who they're going to bring in. So that could be rotational. Let me speak on the suffers though, Dustin. I think it's easy to poach at like an NDSU or others who are going to lose big time players because they've been developed so well and they're on the radar. Really, the one who suffers the most is like an NAC team that has a freak linebacker who can just do so much against lesser competition, but make that NEC team be so much of a better defense. when they lose a stud guy like that, it is just so bad for the depth of that team. Like they don't have like the NDSU, the SDSU, the Montana State depth of these rotational players. So yeah, it sucks when a big name goes from a big school, but when you're a smaller school in one of the weaker conferences, when you lose a stud, it can change literally everything. It sets everything back. So I think that's kind of one of the things. Dustin Helton, the Rev, wants to know reactions to the Ed Reed live stream video that dropped this weekend. Guys, you said before the podcast you didn't see this, so I'll take this one too. Ed Reed essentially just went on a live stream. I think he's on a golf cart or something, and it's a good minute or two, and he is just ripping into his new school, the HBCU, Bethune-Cookman, right? And he is just ripping into them about there's trash on the campus, there's trash on the ground. They didn't clean out my office before I showed up. Like he was going in on how essentially the place is disgusting and needs to be cleaned up. But it wasn't like in some sort of prime time, we're going to elevate this. It was like, I'm holier than thou, and I deserve to have better things than this. It was not a good look for HBCUs because HBCUs, everybody's aware that they get lesser funding and they have bigger problems and more things to overcome. So for you to be going in there and kind of pointing out the obvious on a live stream is just terrible. Go in there and actually try to maybe correct things. So
Yeah, fix it.
yeah, I was not impressed by it at all. It was really, really weird, guys. So I'm sure you'll check it out after this. So Joshua Hoffman wants to know, Jamie, why should or shouldn't the SDSU and Montana State game be moved to week 0? Holy moly, what a matchup. You're going to get like number 1 versus number 3 to start the year.
And that's exactly why. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want eyeballs on the FCS, week 0 is as close to standalone as you're going to get until Frisco when they put it up against the friggin' NFL. Like, showcase 2 of your best teams that play kind of similar. That's going to should hopefully be a close game on like the playoff game they just played. Showcase it. That's why. I'd love to see it. Don't know if it'll happen. It probably won't. It'll probably stay on week 1. But I would love to go back to that showcase. I remember lots of big NDSU, Montana, NDSU, Eastern. Like there's been big games. I mean, even, put 2 top 10 teams. Find a way. You got to showcase the FCS if you want more eyeballs on it.
Absolutely.
Put them in Canton.
Put them in Canton. Yeah, put them in the Hall of Fame game. Which playoff team replacing their head coach next season will perform the best? Mr. Kyler Neal, Seth Meyer, and Joshua Hoffman. Joshua's question was tweaked a little bit, but both were roughly about head coaches. So who do you think who's replacing is going to have a good performance next year?
I think it's Incarnate Word. Again, it just probably seems like we're just blowing smoke up them. But the talent that they've brought in, every single year, the last few years, they've elevated that program more and more. They're becoming a name brand in the FCS kind of landscape. Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty successful head coach the first year compared to maybe a Sac State or a Weber. I just don't see it.
All righty. Last quick hit question here, Jamie. Who is the best dressed admin and why isn't your answer Jamie Williams? Good to see the bulk of Rainbow Row dressed in Jackrabbit blue. Erin Amick able to talk to us. Met her and her family and Jackrabbit fans down there. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Jamie, were you the best looking guy there in Rainbow Row or what?
I mean, I was the best looking guy, but Kyler was the best dressed because, out of the 3 of us, he had his team actually on. Like I said, in hindsight, I would have wore South Dakota State Saturday night and wore JMU on Sunday. But, I wore South Dakota State the game. That's fine. No, Kyler wore his team out of the 3 of us dead on. You had Snorty, but you had NDSU on. So.
Yep, I had the enemy of the FCS on though.
Yeah, I'll give it to Kyler because, I mean, look at him,
majestic,
sexy beast. Got his massage
until I
in.
stand next to Cade Coffee, and then you're like, oh, who is that ugly ass human being? So thanks a lot, Cade.
Aaron, the one thing I will say with the Rainbow Row and just the crowd in general, I remember 2013, 2018 NDSU, it felt like a coronation. It's like, we're going to win no matter what. Like, this is great. Boy, that was an FCS coronation of overcoming the evil empire. I mean, everybody who was a random fan in there was so pumped to watch NDSU get pumped on the field. Me and Taco
those
King.
Photos of Matt just upset and me laughing.
I wasn't as much
hilarious.
upset. I was kind of just awestruck on how bad it was. Like I thought
Yeah.
it'd be closer. I picked South Dakota State to win. I knew NDSU was going to lose. Let me say that if I had a top 4 for the memory in terms of our time in Frisco, it would be being the rational person around all the South Dakota State fans. Like in the tailgate, they're all like, I don't know, man. I'm feeling a little on edge. I'm like, you're going to win. And like in the stands, they're like, oh, the nerves are kicking. I'm like, you're going to win. And then it was like the third quarter, they were up 20 points. And I heard Big Chad go, he's like, listen, I think if we hold them here, I think it's done. And I turned around and I was like, what game are you watching? This game is over.
To Matt's credit, when it went 21-0, Matt said game's over. Or 21-7, sorry.
I actually said when 14-7, I looked at the time of possession and 1 turnover, and I said, that's it. I was like, turnover margin, time of possession. Cut it out. I know how this game goes. All righty, gentlemen, we have rolled to the end of the season 6 finale podcast. Gonna put some soft daydreaming music in the background. Time for some final thoughts. Of course, the shout out message to all the fans was pre-recorded that I put in front of this podcast here. Just to reiterate how much we're so thankful for you guys for the growth on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everything else, but a chance to reflect on the season, Jamie Williams, and give some final thoughts before we boom this sucker out.
Yeah, I mean, just despite the fact that we kind of knew thought we knew what the matchup was going to be, it was still a good season. You know, some good teams popping up here and there. Obviously, my team moved up, and I still stay with the FCS. I think I'll do it again.
Oh, I like that. I think we'll keep you around there, Mr. Williams. Kyler Neal, reflections on the season, my man.
I'm so glad this season's over.
As an Eastern fan.
Eastern sucked. My Packers sucked. Like this is a football season I haven't had to experience in a long time. Actually, probably ever. So yeah, this was not fun. So I'm glad it's over. I love you all. Tailgating was awesome with the Jackrabbit guys. The atmosphere at the game was awesome. I wouldn't change that atmosphere for the world. It was an amazing, fun time. Love all you guys. Thank you everyone who was listening and supporting us throughout this year. We may not make the best content, but you keep listening, so thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, no, I'm glad for it to be over. Let's go 2023.
Yeah, it's always a good off-season break. I won't let you guys take too much of a break, though. I am going to force you to do some of the episodes we've been talking about forever. We're actually going to do them this off-season. So here's a little chance for some promo for off-season content. I am absolutely gathering everything we did on the over-under episode from last season, and we'll do an episode reacting to our answers and giving some feedback. We absolutely are bringing Lawrence on here. Jamie, you're going to be on here too. And we are 100% playing the first ever recorded episode we did for FCS Fans Nation. It's terrible. It's awful. And we're going to live react to it. We'll pause throughout, laugh our butts off. I think it's 25 minutes. It's so bad. And beyond that, I am also about to kick off some pretty interesting stuff, I think, that you might want to pay attention to for you to get to know our page members, some influencers, and other folks throughout the off season. So it should be fun. I just want to give one final shout out and thank you to my 2 main guys here, Jamie Williams, Kyler Neal. Every Sunday, us messaging saying, does this time work for you? Well, we got to get the pod done. It never feels that way. It never does. When we message and when we text, it's like, I can make it. I can't make it. Let's adjust the time. And we just make it work. And we try to get everything out Monday morning for you guys, but we're just real people with real lives and we really enjoy it. So we really appreciate your guys' support 110%. And to the network, to the FCS Fans Nation network, whether, Jackrabbit Illustrated, Cocky Nation, the Wax Sun guys, Fight on Montana, Keith Brake with ETSU, all the way down the line, if I've forgotten anybody, just your guys' support and everything you do to help make the YouTube channel successful just has only helped the page in FCS Fans Nation. So with that, gentlemen, Jamie Williams, I'm going to give you one final thought. Leave us with one piece of advice going into 2023 to end season 6 of the podcast.
Spend some time with your family, spend some time with your friends, cherish that. But in August, cherish FCS football.
Cherish it every day. Enjoy the off season. Hug your family. Love your friends. Enjoy the NFL and everything else that makes you happy in life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to Season 6 of the FCS Fans Nation Podcast. Catch you in August. Boom.
Thank you for listening to the FCS Fans Nation Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on your preferred listening platform, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google, or even YouTube. And make sure to follow our FCS Fans Nation social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for listening to the premier podcast for FCS football. Boom.
I'm gonna Google one thing. What is a herd of bunnies called?
Jackass.
I can't call them a herd.
A flock?
It's called. Is it a flock?
I don't know. I don't know if there is.
A fluffle? F-L-U-F-F-L-E. Is that fluffle? That sounds dirty.
It sounds soft.
A group of wild rabbits is called a fluffle.
Ugh. Gross.